The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated silently in the void between star systems. Its metal surface stretched for miles in every direction, covered with docking ports where ships from dozens of different worlds came to rest. Inside the station, the main council chamber buzzed with activity as representatives from across the galaxy gathered for their monthly meeting. Commander Jake Morrison walked through the enormous hallway leading to the chamber. His simple blue uniform looked plain compared to the colorful robes and armor worn by the alien beings around him. At 6 feet tall, he felt small next to creatures that towered over him or slithered past on multiple legs. Some aliens glowed with their own light, while others had skin that changed colors as they moved. Jake carried a small tablet with Earth's territorial claims, but he knew the real battle would not be fought with documents. It would be fought with words, and the odds were not in his favor. Behind him walked his 2 assistants, Lieutenant Amy Parker and Sergeant Bill Davis. The 3 humans were the only representatives Earth could afford to send to this gathering. The council chamber opened before them like a vast arena. Hundreds of seats rose in circular tiers around a central speaking area. Each seat was designed for a different type of alien body. Some were filled with water for the fish-like aquarians, while others glowed with heat for the rock creatures from the volcanic worlds. The air itself was mixed with different gases so all the species could breathe. Jake and his team took their assigned seats in a small section marked for Earth. Around them, alien delegations filled entire sections with dozens of representatives, advisors, and guards. The Zephyrians alone had brought 50 members to the meeting. Their crystalline bodies reflected the chamber's lights, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. The meeting began when the Council Prime, an ancient being known only as the Ethereal, called for order. Its voice echoed through the chamber without, coming from any visible mouth. Today we will hear territorial disputes from the Outer Rim systems. The Zephyrian Empire has challenged humanity's expansion into the Kepler 442 system. A massive Zephyrian stood up from his delegation. His body was made of what looked like living crystal, with sharp edges that caught the light. This was Ambassador Vexthal, the Zephyrian military leader. When he spoke, his voice sounded like glass breaking. "Honored council members," Vexthal began, "we come before you today to address a serious problem. The humans have claimed 17 colonies across 7 star systems. They say they can defend these worlds with their military force." He paused and looked directly at Jake. "Their entire fleet consists of 47 ships." Laughter filled the chamber. The Drakmari delegates made hissing sounds that passed for amusement among their species. The Altarians created musical tones that rose and fell in harmony. Even the normally serious Korvan representatives clicked their claws against their seats in what Jake recognized as their version of laughter. Vexthal waited for the noise to die down before continuing. "We have observed human military exercises. Their ships are slow and outdated. Their weapons are primitive compared to modern galactic standards. Most importantly, their numbers are laughably small." He gestured toward Jake's section. "Look at their delegation. 3 beings, 3. My own species has sent 50 representatives just to this meeting." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Jake felt his face grow hot with embarrassment, but he kept his expression calm. Amy and Bill sat quietly beside him, their hands folded in their laps. A serpentine creature with 6 arms slithered to the speaking area. This was Ambassador Sethka of the Drakmari. Her scale shifted from green to purple as she spoke. "The Zephyrians speak truth. We have witnessed human defensive capabilities. During the Rigel incident last year, human ships required assistance from our fleet to handle 3 pirate vessels. 3 vessels defeated by pirates hardly suggests a military force capable of defending 17 colonies." The chamber erupted in more laughter. Jake heard comments from various species. Pathetic. Weak. Should stay in their home system. The words stung, but he had heard them all before. Vexthal raised one crystal arm for silence. "The humans have expanded too far, too fast. They lack the military strength to defend their claims. Nature abhors a vacuum, and weak species cannot hold territory they cannot defend. The Zephyrian Empire requests permission to claim the Kepler 442 system. We will use it more effectively than the humans ever could. The ethereal's voice filled the chamber again. Before we vote, the human representative may speak. Jake stood up slowly. The chamber fell silent as hundreds of alien eyes focused on him. He walked to the speaking area, his footsteps echoing in the sudden quiet. Behind him, Amy and Bill remained seated, looking small and isolated in their tiny section. Honored Council? Members? Jake began, his voice steady despite the hostile audience. We appreciate your concerns about our defensive capabilities. However, we must respectfully disagree with your assessment of our military strength. This brought fresh laughter from the Zephyrian section. Vexthal's crystal features seemed to glow brighter with amusement. Commander Morrison, your disagreement does not change reality. Numbers do not lie. We have 300 warships in our fleet. You have 47 ships total. Mathematics is universal. You are correct that mathematics is universal, Jake replied calmly, but you may be miscounting. The laughter stopped abruptly. The chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence felt different, dangerous. Vexthal's voice turned cold. Are you suggesting we cannot count, human? I am suggesting that appearances can be deceiving. You see our small delegation and assume we are weak. You count our ships and assume you understand our capabilities. But there are things you do not see. What things? Demanded Sefka, her scales shifting to angry red. Jake looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at him. You will find out soon enough. The Zephyrian Empire is welcome to test our defenses, but I warn you now that the results may surprise you. Vexthal's laugh sounded like breaking glass. The only surprise will be how quickly your colonies surrender. Very well, human. The Zephyrian Empire will claim the Kepler 442 system within 1 galactic standard month. We will see how well your 47 ships defend against our 300. The ethereal called for a vote. The result was overwhelming. 43 species voted to allow the Zephyrian action. Only 2 voted against it, and 1 abstained. The humans were on their own. As the council session ended, alien delegations began filing out of the chamber. Many stopped to stare at the 3 humans still sitting in their small section. Jake heard whispered comments as they passed. Brave but foolish. They will learn. Pity about the colonies. Jake waited until most of the aliens had left before standing up. He pulled out his communication device and activated it with steady hands. Amy and Bill watched him carefully, their faces showing no emotion. Control, this is Morrison, Jake said quietly into the device. They took the bait. The Zephyrians are moving against Kepler 442 as expected. The council voted to allow it. A voice crackled back through the device. Understood, Commander. Are you ready to proceed with the demonstration? Jake looked around the nearly empty chamber. A few alien delegates were still watching them from the exits, probably wondering what the humans were discussing. He smiled slightly. Affirmative, Control. Initiate Protocol 7, Authorization Code Alpha-7-7-Charlie. Tell Admiral Sullivan that the demonstration is authorized. Let's show them what they cannot see. Copy that, Commander. Protocol 7 is active. Good luck. Jake put the device away and turned to his assistants. Well, that went exactly as planned. They think they know everything about our capabilities? Amy smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. They have no idea what's coming, Bill nodded. 300 ships against 47. They think those are good odds. Jake led his team toward the exit. Behind them, the empty chamber seemed to echo with the memory of alien laughter. Soon, that laughter would stop. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity had been holding back far more than anyone imagined. The Zephyrians wanted to test Earth's defenses. They were about to get their wish. 3 weeks had passed since the Galactic Council meeting, and the Zephyrian war fleet had assembled at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The massive formation of ships stretched across space like a deadly metal cloud. 300 vessels of different sizes floated in perfect military formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. Admiral Kethmer stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon. The enormous ship was 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire cities. His crystalline body reflected the blue light from the tactical displays that surrounded him. As the fleet commander, he wore a special crown that marked his rank, its crystal points sharp enough to cut steel. "Status report," Kethmore commanded, his voice echoing through the bridge like breaking glass. Commander Zixal, the fleet's tactical officer, worked at his station with 4 arms moving across different controls. "All ships are in position, Admiral." Long-range sensors show the human colonies spread across 4 planets and 6 asteroid mining stations. Their defensive fleet appears to be moving to intercept us. The main display screen lit up with a tactical map of the star system. 4 planets, showed as green dots with smaller symbols marking the asteroid mining stations. Red symbols marked the locations of human ships, and there were pathetically few of them. "How many ships are they sending against us?" Kethmar asked. 12 ships, Admiral, all smaller than our light cruisers." The bridge crew erupted in the grinding sound that passed for laughter among Zephyrians. Several officers made comments about human stupidity and bravery being the same thing. Kethmar allowed his crew their amusement. After all, 12 ships against 300 was not a battle, it was target practice. "Admiral," the communications officer announced, "the humans are requesting to speak with you. Put them through. Let us hear what they have to say for themselves." The main screen changed to show the bridge of a human ship. A woman in a dark blue uniform sat in the command chair, her face calm and serious. Behind her, other humans worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. The contrast between the busy, noise-filled Zephyrian bridge and the quiet human bridge was striking. "Admiral Kethmar," the woman said, "this is Captain Lisa Matthews of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. You are entering sovereign human space. Please withdraw your forces immediately." Kethmar leaned forward in his command chair, his crystal features catching the light. The human ship on the screen looked tiny compared to his flagship. Her vessel was barely 300 meters long, like a small boat next to a massive battleship. "Captain Matthews," he replied, his voice filled with amusement. "I am Admiral Kethmar of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. You face 300 warships with 12 of your primitive vessels. This is not a battle you can win. Surrender now, and we will allow your colonists to evacuate safely." Captain Matthews did not change expression. Her voice remained steady and calm. "We cannot do that, Admiral. These are our people, our worlds. We will defend them with everything we have." "Everything you have amounts to 12 ships, Captain. Even if your vessels were equal to ours, which they clearly are not, you would still face impossible odds. I am offering you a chance to save lives. Take it." "Our answer is no, Admiral. We will not abandon our colonies." Kethmar's patience was wearing thin. The human captain showed no fear, no recognition of the hopeless situation she faced. Either she was incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, perhaps both. "Then you have chosen death for your people," he said coldly. "Do not blame me for what happens next." The screen went dark as the communication ended. Kethmar turned to his tactical officer. "Commander Zixal, prepare the fleet for battle. We will demonstrate Zephyrian power to these stubborn humans." "Yes, Admiral." "All ships report ready for combat." The Zephyrian fleet began to move forward in perfect formation. The larger battleships took the center position while cruisers and destroyers spread out to cover the flanks. Their energy shields activated, covering each ship in a purple glow that made them look like deadly jewels floating in space. As the fleet advanced, the tactical display showed the 12 human ships spreading out in what appeared to be a defensive formation. They were positioned between the Zephyrian fleet and the inner planets, clearly planning to make a stand despite the overwhelming odds. "Admiral," Commander Zixal reported, "the human ships are moving to intercept us. They appear to be accelerating to attack speed." "Brave but foolish," Kethmar muttered. Very well, let us end this quickly. Signal the first wave to prepare for combat. 50 Zephyrian ships moved ahead of the main fleet, their weapons charging with deadly energy. These were among the most powerful vessels in the galaxy, each one capable of destroying a small moon. Against 12 primitive human ships, they should have been more than enough. The distance between the two fleets closed rapidly. Soon they would be within weapons range, and the brief battle would begin. Kethmer expected the humans to surrender at the last moment when they saw the true power of Zephyrian weapons. Most species did. Weapons range in 30 seconds, announced the tactical officer. All ships, prepare to fire, Kethmer commanded. Target their engines first. I want to disable them, not destroy them. Dead heroes tell no tales, but defeated ones spread word of our power. The first wave of Zephyrian ships. Open fire exactly on schedule. Beams of purple energy lanced across space toward the human vessels. The plasma bolts were powerful enough to melt through the armor of any known ship. The space between the fleets lit up with deadly light as dozens of weapons fired at once, but something impossible happened. The human ships moved with incredible speed and precision, dodging the plasma bolts by the smallest of margins. Their movements were too fast and too coordinated for ships of their apparent technology level. It was as if they knew exactly where each shot would go before it was fired. What? In the void? Kethmer exclaimed, watching the display in disbelief. The human ships returned fire immediately. Their weapons were smaller and less powerful than Zephyrian plasma cannons, but their accuracy was perfect. Every shot hit its target. 3 Zephyrian ships exploded in brilliant balls of fire, their shields overwhelmed by precisely targeted strikes. Report, Kethmer demanded. Admiral, we have lost 3 destroyers. The human weapons struck our shield generators with perfect accuracy. It should not be possible for them to penetrate our defenses so easily. Continue the attack. Send in the second wave. More Zephyrian ships joined the battle, their weapons filling space with deadly energy, but the results were the same. The human ships moved like dancers, avoiding most shots while returning fire with devastating precision. Every human weapon hit its target. While most Zephyrian shots missed by inches, the battle continued for 2 hours, and the impossible became undeniable. 12 human ships were somehow holding their own against 50 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. The tactical display showed 6 more Zephyrian vessels destroyed or severely damaged, while all 12 human ships remained operational. How is this possible? Kethmer demanded, his confidence shaken for the first time in his military career. Commander Zixal worked frantically at his station, trying to understand what was happening. Admiral, I am detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the battle zone. Our sensors are picking up far more communication signals than 12 ships should generate. Explain. The human ships are broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously. The signal patterns suggest coordination with units that our sensors cannot detect. It is as if they are communicating with invisible vessels. Kethmer stared at the tactical display. The 12 human ships continued their impossible dance, dodging Zephyrian fire while striking back with perfect accuracy. But if there were invisible ships helping them, where were they? Run full spectrum scans, he ordered. Find these phantom vessels. The science officer, a Zephyrian with enhanced sensory organs, began working at his station. Admiral, I am detecting massive electromagnetic disturbances throughout the battlefield. The energy signatures are consistent with the presence of additional vessels, but our visual and radar systems show nothing. Impossible. No known technology can achieve perfect invisibility while maintaining offensive capabilities. At that moment, Captain Matthews' voice crackled through the communication system again. Her image appeared on the main screen, but this time she was not alone. Behind her, the bridge of her ship showed signs of battle damage, but her crew continued working. With calm efficiency, Admiral Kethmer, she said, her voice carrying a note of warning, this is your final chance. Withdraw your forces now, or face the consequences. Kethmer felt his crystal features flush with anger. What consequences? We outnumber you 25 to 1, and you have already lost this battle. Your ships cannot continue this performance much longer. Captain Matthews looked directly at him through the screen. Her eyes were hard and determined. Admiral, you are making a serious mistake. We outnumber you, not the other way around. That is impossible. Our sensors show only 12 ships. Your sensors are wrong. Before Kethmer could respond, the space around his fleet erupted in weapons fire. Plasma bolts and missile trails appeared from seemingly empty space, striking Zephyrian ships with devastating precision. News of the Zephyrian defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the council chambers of Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were called every day as representatives from dozens of species tried to understand what had happened. The mighty Zephyrian fleet, 300 of the most advanced warships in known space, had been destroyed by 12 human vessels and an invisible army that no one could explain. Ambassador Vexthal stood before the emergency council session, his crystalline form dim with shame and confusion. The proud Zephyrian warrior who had laughed at human weakness 3 weeks ago now appeared broken and defeated. His voice, usually strong and commanding, cracked as he spoke. "Honored council members," he began, "I must report a complete disaster. Our fleet entered the Kepler 442 system with overwhelming force. We faced only 12 human ships, exactly as our intelligence predicted. But we were attacked by an invisible armada that our sensors could not detect." The council chamber erupted in confused chatter. Representatives from dozens of species spoke in their native languages, creating a cacophony of sounds that echoed through the vast space. Some delegates made gestures of disbelief, while others leaned forward in their seats, hungry for details. The ethereal called for order with its ancient voice. "Ambassador Vexthal, please explain what you mean by invisible armada." Vexthal activated a holographic display that showed the battle recordings from his fleet. The images were grainy and filled with static, but they clearly showed Zephyrian ships being destroyed by weapons fire that seemed to come from empty space. Plasma bolts and missile trails appeared from nowhere, striking with perfect accuracy. "As you can see," Vexthal continued, "our ships were attacked by forces that exist beyond the reach of our sensors. We detected massive electromagnetic disturbances throughout the battlefield, but our visual and radar systems showed nothing. The humans possess technology that makes their ships completely invisible while maintaining full offensive capabilities." "Ambassador." Sethka of the Drakmari slithered to the speaking area, her scales shifting to skeptical blue. "This is impossible. No species in the galaxy has achieved perfect stealth technology. The energy requirements alone would be enormous. There must be another explanation." "What other explanation could there be?" Vexthal demanded. "Our fleet was destroyed by ghosts. We lost 150 ships to an enemy we could not see or fight." The Altarian representative, a tall being with silver skin and multiple eyes, spoke in musical tones. "Perhaps the humans have discovered some natural phenomenon. A gravitational anomaly or energy field that hides their vessels." "We considered that possibility," Vexthal replied. "Our science officers found no evidence of natural phenomena that could account for what we witnessed. The attacks were too coordinated, too precise. This was not some random cosmic event. It was a planned military assault by invisible forces." The debate continued for hours. Some species suggested that the Zephyrians had encountered a new form of technology. Others believed it was some kind of illusion or trick. A few even proposed that the humans had made contact with beings from another dimension, but none of the explanations satisfied the council. The simple truth was that no one understood what had happened in the Kepler 442 system. The galaxy's most advanced sensors and scientific minds could not explain how 12 human ships had defeated 300 Zephyrian vessels. Finally, the Ethereal made a decision. "The Council will authorize a joint investigation fleet. Representatives from 5 species will approach the human system under a flag of truce. We will determine the truth of these events." The investigation fleet was assembled within days. The Altarian cruiser Starseeker served as the flagship, accompanied by vessels from the Drakmari, Corvin, Aquarian, and Volfin species. Each ship carried the most advanced sensors and scientific equipment available. If the humans had invisible ships, this fleet would find them. Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Horizon waited at the edge of the Kepler 442 system as the investigation fleet approached. Her single ship looked tiny compared to the 25 alien vessels that had come to study human defenses. But she showed no fear as the alien fleet took positions around her. "Captain Rodriguez," came the transmission from Admiral Vexan of the Altarians. "We come under the authority of the Galactic Council to investigate the recent battle with the Zephyrian fleet. We request permission to conduct detailed sensor sweeps of your system." "Permission granted, Admiral," Elena replied calmly. "We have nothing to hide. You are welcome to scan whatever you wish." The investigation fleet spread throughout the system. Like a net, their sensors probing every asteroid, every planet, every cubic meter of space. The alien scientists worked around the clock, using every detection method known to galactic science. They searched for hidden bases, cloaked vessels, advanced technology installations, anything that could explain the mysterious defeat of the Zephyrian fleet. Dr. Yomuth, the chief scientist aboard the Starseeker, coordinated the investigation from the ship's main laboratory. The spider-like being had 8 arms that moved across different control panels simultaneously, analyzing data from all 25 ships. His species was known throughout the galaxy for their scientific abilities, and if anyone could solve this mystery, it would be him. "Status report," Admiral Vexen requested as he entered the laboratory. "Admiral, we have completed comprehensive scans of the entire system," Dr. Yomuth replied, his 8 eyes focusing on different displays. "We have found the human colonies on 4 planets, 6 asteroid mining stations, and 17 patrol routes used by their visible fleet. We have also detected the debris from the Zephyrian battle. And the invisible ships? No evidence of any hidden vessels, Admiral. No cloaked ships, no advanced stealth technology, no energy signatures that would indicate the presence of invisible forces." Admiral Vexan studied the data carefully. His silver skin reflected the lights from the laboratory equipment as he processed the information. "That cannot be correct. The battle recordings clearly show weapons fire from empty space." "The recordings are accurate, Admiral, but our sensors detect no technology that could produce such effects. We have scanned for gravitational anomalies, dimensional rifts, energy fields, quantum distortions, and every other phenomenon known to science. The space where the invisible attackers should be is completely empty." "Then how do you explain the Zephyrian defeat?" Dr. Yomuth's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion among his species. "The only logical conclusion is that humanity has developed stealth technology that operates beyond our current understanding of physics. They have achieved something that should be impossible." The investigation continued for 2 more days, but the results remained the same. The combined scientific knowledge of 5 different species could find no evidence of invisible ships, hidden bases, or advanced technology. The humans appeared to possess exactly what they claimed, a small fleet of primitive vessels and several lightly defended colonies, yet the battle recordings could not be disputed. The Zephyrian fleet had been destroyed by weapons fire from empty space. The mystery deepened with every scan, every test, every analysis. On the final day of the investigation, Captain Rodriguez invited Admiral Vexan and Dr. Yomuth aboard the Horizon for a brief meeting. The human ship's interior was simple and functional, lacking the advanced technology visible on most alien vessels. The 3 beings sat in the ship's small conference room, surrounded by basic displays and simple controls. "Admiral, Doctor," Elena began, "I understand you have been unable to find evidence of our invisible fleet." "That is correct, Captain," Admiral Vexan replied. "Your system appears to contain only the forces you have openly declared, yet the battle recordings show otherwise." Elena smiled slightly. "The galaxy makes many assumptions about humanity. You assume our technology is primitive because our ships are small. You assume our defenses are weak because our numbers are few. You assume that what you cannot see does not exist. Are you saying your invisible ships do exist? Dr. Yilmoth asked, his 8 eyes focusing intently on the human captain. I'm saying that the galaxy does not understand what makes humanity strong. You search for ships and find none. You search for technology and find none. You search for weapons and find none. But you have not searched for the right things. What should we be searching for? Admiral Vexen demanded. Elena's smile widened. You should be searching for people, Admiral. You should be searching for the one thing that makes humanity different from every other species in the galaxy. You should be searching for our willingness to fight as individuals, not just as crews of large ships. The 2 aliens exchanged glances. Dr. Yilmoth spoke first. Captain, individual beings cannot survive in space combat. The environment is too hostile, the distance is too vast, the weapons too powerful. That is true for your species, Elena replied. But humans are different. We evolved as hunters who could track prey across great distances. We adapted that skill for space warfare. Our ships do not just carry crews, Admiral, they carry armies. Admiral Vexen leaned forward. You are suggesting that individual humans fight in space? I am suggesting that you have been looking for the wrong thing. You expected to find invisible ships, so you searched for ships. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrian fleet's mysterious defeat, and the galaxy had not returned to normal. Fear spread from system to system as species realized that humanity possessed unknown military capabilities. The investigation fleets. Failure to find any evidence of invisible ships only made the situation worse. If the galaxy's best scientists could not understand human technology, what other surprises might Earth have in store? In the Drakmari home system, Ambassador Sethka convened an emergency meeting of the Serpent Council. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from 12 different Drakmari colonies, their scales shifting colors as they discussed the human threat. The air was thick with the scent of fear and uncertainty. The humans have made fools of us all, Sethka hissed, her scales darkening to angry red. They sit in their small corner of the galaxy with their primitive ships, yet they destroyed the most powerful fleet in Zephyrian history. We must assume they can do the same to any of us. Council leader Vekshar, an ancient Drakmari with scarred scales, spoke from the center of the chamber. What do you propose, Ambassador? The investigation found no evidence of advanced technology. How do we fight an enemy we cannot understand? We form alliances, Sethka replied. No single species can match whatever power the humans possess, but together we might have a chance. Similar meetings were taking place across the galaxy. The Korvan Military Command was developing new defensive strategies based on fighting invisible enemies. The Aquarian deep space colonies were installing advanced sensor networks to detect human infiltration. The Volthan Empire was building new types of weapons designed to hit targets they could not see, but it was the Altarians who took the most drastic action. Admiral Vexen, still haunted by his failure to solve the mystery of human capabilities, convinced his government to approach Earth directly. If the galaxy was going to live in fear of humanity's invisible army, someone needed to learn the truth. The Altarian diplomatic ship Peaceful Intent approached Earth's solar system 3 weeks later. The vessel was unarmed and transmitted continuous messages of peaceful intent on all frequencies. Admiral Vexen had chosen his smallest ship and a crew of only 20 beings to show that this was not a military mission. Captain Peter Brooks of the Earth vessel Guardian met the Altarian ship at the edge of the solar system. His orders were clear. Escort the aliens to Earth, but be ready for anything. The galaxy's sudden fear of human capabilities was both helpful and dangerous. Fear could keep potential enemies away, but it could also push them to desperate actions. Captain Brooks, came Admiral Vexen's transmission. I request permission to approach Earth for diplomatic discussions. We come in peace to seek understanding. Permission granted, Admiral. Please follow my ship to the designated coordinates. Any deviation from the flight path will be considered hostile. The 2 ships traveled toward Earth together, passing through The asteroid belt and the outer planets? Admiral Lexan studied the human home system through his ship's sensors, looking for any sign of the invisible fleet that had defeated the Zephyrians. But like everywhere else humans controlled, space appeared empty except for the few visible patrol ships. Earth itself was a blue and green jewel hanging in the void, its surface covered with swirling white clouds. The planet looked peaceful and beautiful, not like the home of a species that could make entire fleets disappear. But appearances had proven to be very deceiving when it came to humanity. The Altarian ship was directed to dock at Luna Station, the massive facility orbiting Earth's moon. The station bustled with activity as human ships came and went, carrying supplies to the colonies and bringing back resources from the outer systems. It looked like the hub of a normal, busy civilization. Admiral Lexan was escorted to a meeting room where he found himself face-to-face with Admiral Kate Sullivan, the highest-ranking officer in the Earth Defense Force. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed to see everything. Behind her stood two other humans, General Mark Johnson and Colonel Sarah Williams. Admiral Lexan, Kate began, welcome to Earth. We understand you have questions about our defensive capabilities. Indeed, Admiral Sullivan. The galaxy is in a state of fear and confusion. The Zephyrian fleet was destroyed by forces that our best scientists cannot detect or understand. Many species are forming military alliances, believing that humanity poses a threat to galactic peace. Kate leaned back in her chair. And what do you believe, Admiral? I believe that humanity has developed technology beyond our current understanding. But I also believe that fear of the unknown is more dangerous than the unknown itself. I have come here to learn the truth, whatever it may be. The truth, Kate repeated softly. The galaxy has been making assumptions about us from the beginning. You assume our ships are primitive because they are small. You assume our defenses are weak because our numbers are few. You assume that military strength comes from technology and large fleets. Are these assumptions wrong? Completely wrong. The galaxy does not understand what makes humanity strong. You search for invisible ships and find none. You search for advanced weapons and find none. You search for hidden bases and find none, but you have been looking for the wrong things. Admiral. Lexan leaned forward, his silver skin reflecting the room's lights. Captain Rodriguez said something similar. She spoke of people rather than ships, of individuals rather than crews. But I do not understand what she meant. Kate smiled slightly. Would you like a demonstration, Admiral? Would you like to see what really happened to the Zephyrian fleet? Very much. Then follow me to the observation deck. But I warn you, Admiral, what you are about to see will change everything you think you know about human warfare. The group moved to a large observation deck that looked out over the space around Luna Station. Earth hung in the distance, its blue surface peaceful and serene. Admiral Lexan could see several human ships moving in the area, but nothing that seemed threatening or unusual. Admiral, Kate said, I want you to scan the space around this station. Use your most advanced sensors. Tell me what you find. Admiral. Lexan activated his portable scanner, a device that could detect energy signatures across multiple dimensions. He swept the area carefully, looking for any sign of hidden vessels or advanced technology. The results were exactly what he expected. I detect the station, several human ships, and normal space traffic. Nothing unusual. Look again. This time, scan for individual life signs rather than ship signatures. The Admiral adjusted his scanner and ran the sweep again. This time, the results were shocking. Thousands of tiny energy signatures appeared on his display, scattered throughout the space around the station. They were too small to be ships, too numerous to be normal crew members. What are those signals? He asked, his voice filled with confusion. Those are people, Admiral. Human beings in spacesuits using personal propulsion systems to move through vacuum. Right now, 3,000 of our people are positioned around this station. Invisible to your ship scanners, but very real and very dangerous. Admiral Lexan stared at the scanner in disbelief. Impossible. No organic being can survive in space combat conditions. The radiation, the cold, the vacuum itself would kill them in minutes. That is true for your species, Kate replied. But humans are different. We evolved as persistence hunters on a world with extreme environments. We adapted that ability for space warfare. Our people can operate in vacuum for hours using simple environmental suits and small propulsion units. But how can individuals fight starships? The same way a swarm of insects can bring down a large animal. Numbers, coordination, and the right tactics. Each person carries weapons that can damage ship systems. 3,000 people with plasma torches and magnetic mines can destroy a fleet if they work together. Admiral Vexen looked out at the apparently empty space around the station. Knowing now that it was filled with invisible human soldiers, the Zephyrian fleet never had a chance. They never even knew what hit them. Our ships directed the assault, but the real attack came from our people. Thousands of individuals who deployed from the ships and surrounded the Zephyrian fleet. Your sensors cannot detect people in spacesuits because they are too small and generate too little energy, but they can plant explosive charges on ship hulls, cut through armor with plasma torches, and coordinate attacks that no fleet can defend against. Every human ship carries these ... soldiers. Every human ship carries citizens willing to fight for their homes and families. Our transport vessels can deploy 10,000 people into space. Our military ships carry smaller numbers but with better weapons and training. The colonies you want to attack are not defended by a few ships, Admiral. They are defended by millions of people who will step into space with nothing but a weapon and a pressure suit. Admiral Vexan felt a chill run through his silver skin. The galaxy had been searching for invisible ships, but the truth was far more terrifying. Humanity's strength was not in their technology, but in their people's willingness to fight as individuals in the most hostile environment imaginable. This changes everything, he whispered ... Yes, it does, Kate agreed. The galaxy laughed at our small fleet numbers. But each of our ships does not carry a crew, Admiral. Admiral Vexan returned to Nexus Prime with knowledge that would change the galaxy forever. His silver skin had lost its usual shine during the long journey from Earth, and his multiple eyes showed the strain of carrying such a heavy burden. The truth about humanity's invisible army was more terrifying than any advanced technology the galaxy had imagined. The emergency council session was called within hours of his arrival. Representatives from every known species packed the great chamber, their various forms of communication creating a buzz of nervous energy. The Drakmari scales shifted constantly between colors of fear and anger. The Corvan warriors clicked their claws against their armor in agitation. Even the normally calm Aquarians moved restlessly in their water-filled seats. The ethereal's ancient voice filled the chamber, calling for order. Admiral Vexan of the Altarian fleet will report his findings from the human home system. The galaxy awaits your words. Admiral Vexan stood slowly, his tall form commanding attention despite his obvious exhaustion. He had rehearsed this moment during his journey, but now that it was here, he struggled to find the right words. How could he explain something that challenged everything the galaxy believed about warfare? Honored representatives, he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. I have learned the truth about humanity's defensive capabilities. The knowledge I bring will disturb you, as it has disturbed me. But it is knowledge the galaxy must have if we are to coexist with the human species. The chamber fell silent except for the soft sounds of various species breathing or moving. Even the air recycling system seemed to quiet as thousands of beings waited for his words. The humans do not possess invisible ships, Admiral Vexan continued. They do not have advanced stealth technology. They do not hide massive fleets. In other dimensions, the investigation team was correct in their findings. There are no invisible vessels. Confused murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Vexthal of the Zephyrians rose from his seat, his crystal form reflecting the chamber's lights. Then how do you explain the destruction of our fleet? Our sensors detected weapons fire from empty space. The weapons fire was real, Admiral Vexan replied. But it did not come from ships. It came from people. Individual human beings floating in space, armed with personal weapons and driven by something the galaxy has never seen before. The chamber erupted in noise as representatives demanded explanations. The Drakmari delegation hissed in disbelief. The Corvan warriors roared their confusion. The Volfan Empire's representative activated his translator to ensure he had heard correctly. The ethereal called for silence again. Admiral Vexan, please explain what you mean by individual humans in space. Admiral Vexan activated a holographic display that showed the scanner readings from his visit to Luna Station. Thousands of tiny dots appeared in the projection, scattered throughout the space around the human facility. Each of these energy signatures represents a human being in an environmental suit. They use personal propulsion systems to move through vacuum and carry weapons capable of damaging starship systems. Impossible, declared Ambassador Sethka of the Drakmari. No organic being can survive in space combat conditions. The radiation alone would kill them. That is what I believed as well, Admiral Vexan replied. But humans are different from us. They evolved as persistence hunters on a world with extreme environments. They adapted this ability for space warfare. People can operate in vacuum for hours using simple equipment. The Corvan military commander, General Brexter, stood up with a crash of metal armor. Even if this is true, how can individual beings fight starships? The size difference alone makes it impossible. Think of it this way, Admiral Vexan said, his voice growing stronger as he warmed to his explanation. How does a swarm of small insects bring down a large animal? Numbers, coordination, and the right tactics. A single human in space might seem harmless, but 1,000 humans working together can destroy a battleship. He changed the holographic display to show a tactical recreation of the Zephyrian battle. The 12 visible human ships directed the assault, but the real attack came from their people. Thousands of individuals deployed from the ships and surrounded the Zephyrian fleet. They moved too fast for targeting systems designed to hit large vessels. They were too small for sensors calibrated to detect ships. They planted explosive charges on hull sections, cut through armor with plasma torches, and coordinated attacks that no fleet could defend against. The chamber was silent as the implications sank in. Every species in the galaxy designed their military around large ships with powerful weapons. The idea of individual soldiers fighting in space was beyond their understanding. Commander Jake Morrison had been sitting quietly in the human section during the entire presentation. Now he stood up, his simple uniform looking plain among the elaborate dress of the alien delegates. Honored representatives, may I address the council? The ethereal granted permission, and Jake walked to the center of the chamber. He looked around at the hundreds of alien faces staring at him with mixtures of fear, confusion, and fascination. Admiral Vexan has spoken truthfully, Jake began. But I believe there is something more important you need to understand. You have been searching for our secret weapon, our advanced technology, our hidden military advantage? But you have been looking in the wrong place. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. Our strength is not in our ships or our weapons. Our strength is in our people. Every human colony is defended not by a few vessels, but by millions of citizens who will step into space with nothing but a pressure suit and a weapon if their homes are threatened. Ambassador Vexthal's crystal form flared with angry light. You sent individual beings to fight our battleships. That is not military strategy. That is madness. No, Jake replied calmly. That is humanity. You laughed at our small fleet numbers. You mocked our primitive ships. You assumed that military strength comes from technology and large vessels. But you failed to understand the most important thing about us. What is that? Demanded the ethereal. We fight for each other, not for governments or empires or abstract concepts. We fight for our families, our friends, our communities. When you threaten a human colony, you are not facing a military force. You are facing every person who calls that place home. Jake activated his own holographic display, showing images of human colonies throughout the galaxy. Each of these worlds has between 1 and 10 million inhabitants. They are farmers, miners, engineers, teachers, parents, and children, but when threatened, they become something else. They become soldiers willing to defend their homes with their lives. The images changed to show humans in environmental suits training in space. The movements were graceful and coordinated, like a deadly dance among the stars. We train our people from childhood to operate in vacuum, not because we want to create warriors, but because space is our environment now. Our children learn to move in zero gravity the same way your children learn to walk on solid ground. General Brexter spoke again, his voice filled with disbelief. You are telling us that farmers and teachers will fight starships? I am telling you that farmers and teachers will become fighters if their families are threatened. We have a saying. On Earth, an armed society is a polite society. We have extended that principle to space. Every human settlement is an armed settlement. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives tried to understand the implications. Some species had large standing armies, others relied on advanced technology. But none had ever considered turning their entire civilian population into a military force. Ambassador Sethka slithered to the speaking area. This is why you have expanded so quickly. You do not need to send military fleets to defend new colonies. The colonists defend themselves. Exactly, Jake confirmed. When we claim a new world, we do not just plant a flag and hope for the best. We send people who are willing and able to fight for that world. Our expansion is not limited by our military capacity because our military capacity grows with our population. The ethereal's ancient voice filled the chamber once more. Commander Morrison, what does humanity want from the galaxy? The same thing we have always wanted? To be left alone to live our lives in peace. We have no desire to conquer other species or interfere in your affairs, but we will defend what is ours. And if the galaxy chooses to test your defenses again? Jake looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at him. Some showed fear, others curiosity, and a few showed what might have been respect. Then the galaxy will learn that our invisible army is larger than anyone imagined. Every human world, every space station, every ship carries people who refuse to surrender. You cannot defeat an enemy that exists in the space between your understanding and your assumptions. The voting began immediately. Species after species cast their ballots, and the result was overwhelming. 47 species voted to recognize all human territorial claims. Only 3 abstained. None voted against. As the session ended, representatives filed out of the chamber in small groups, discussing what they had learned. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The species with the smallest fleet had the largest army.